This is some just bleed refereeing. This is not conducive to good brain health for whoever this fella is. UFC 308 fight week, a big one, so let's get plenty of big breakdowns out. Let's start with a man need only be described as him, Max Blessed Holloway, in a pre-UFC fight. I think it's his second MMA fight. Whenever you're starting your pro MMA fights, you've got to wear pretty much no brand red shorts, Sandicos, Nike Pros. That's the way. So let's put this back to the start. I'm Cage Warriors lightweight champion George Hardwick. Let's break this down. Second pro MMA fight, and what you'll see is a lot of tendencies he has still to this day, still in his last fight with Gaethje. Look at his stance. He's very orthodox focused here, but let's see if I can find a good frame just to look at his stance. He's got those hands turned out whilst he's further away, ready to parry straight punches, and then he turns his hands in to block a little bit more when he's in closer. When, he tends to circle back into the right, there's a little head feint into left hook. Lots of left hooks. He's always really liked the left hook. There's less development of phasing back off of the left hook. Like as he gets later in his career, he develops this ability to continue further on by hook, double jab, and then into his crosses. Something that's improved over his career, but he's always had this good ability to keep his stance whilst throwing and whilst moving forward. There he gets hit with a right straight, kind of throwing a left hook too close for a tall man. Let's have a look here. So there, boom, right straight. I've been caught with that shot plenty of times. For a tall guy to throw a left hook from that range, they're really going to have to loop it. So that right straight's always going to catch them a little bit quicker. But Max Holloway has always had one of the best chins ever. Jabbing to the body is such a big Max Holloway tool. Let's go back a step. Look, he's always jabbed to the body. People believe that the jab to the body was an ineffective technique in MMA because largely Jose Aldo versus Rolando Perez. In that fight, Rolando Perez throws an almost cartoonish, falls onto one leg, his lead leg, throws this jab to the body, ducks his head right down and gets caught with a counter knee against Jose Aldo. But then when Max Holloway fights Jose Aldo, years later, he uses the jab to the body to throw off his head movement. And Max Holloway back and circling. His ringcraft is always excellent. He's always been able to circle and have this sense of where he is in the fence, where he is in the cage in relation to the fence. He's never circling himself onto it. Blocking the high kick. And look at his stance here. Let's pause it for him. Let's look at the back foot. One of the reasons why I think Max Holloway is able to keep his stance so well in extended combinations in a sport where even at this point, when people extend their combinations, their feet fall together, their head falls way past the front knee, is because his back foot isn't pointed to the side and slightly out. He's not got zombie foot. Halloween's coming around the corner, but he still doesn't have zombie foot. His foot's more like 45 degree slash, almost straight forward a lot of the time. And I think that extra balance forward and back helps keep his stance when he throws these longer combinations, like the combinations he was throwing against Calvin Kattar, those 10, 20 punch combinations. It's something that really helps his game. And he's had this since his second fight. It's quite similar to a lot of the 90s K1 stances, just a little bit wider. It's almost like a little bit of a sprint stance. Anyway, let's continue. Guy's throwing a jab. He's kind of reached across. One of the mistakes he said not to do, he's reached across with his lead hand, but this happens a lot. Let's see if he gets punished for it. No, the guy doesn't throw a right hand after. Holloway, boom, jabbing to the body. That jab to the body is so effective. In a boxing glove, it can do a little bit of damage. In an MMA glove, it can actually take quite a bit of the wind out of you. If someone has good shape, if someone gets their legs down in to that jab to the body, they're not just flicking their arm down. And then it's really difficult to defend. We see different people, like Pereira is a really good example of the jab to the body in MMA. GSP, really good example of the jab to the body in MMA. It's very hard to defend. Even Floyd Mayweather, one of the best boxers of all time, he's gotten hit with a clean right hand. I think it was Sugar Shane Mosley. He started exploiting that jab to the body, and then came up with the right hand. It's so difficult to defend, but you can't just tense and take it, especially not in 4-ounce gloves. So you've got to react to it. You've got to peek that elbow in, and often that lets the right hand fly over the top. They get back in the stance, back in the center. Holloway using that feint, returning with an inside low kick after he gets hit with that ball shot. And some of there, possibly a little part of the stance Holloway has. He gets caught with that right low kick, and then he hits that Superman punch. It's quite quick for him to throw that Superman punch because his stance is already slightly squared up. But the leg kick's always been something that's been landable against Holloway. He didn't keep his shape as well as he would or take that back step. See how he throws that hook and falls into the clinch. His head falls a little bit forward, and he's using his right hand a little bit more at the end of combinations. So that's a few things that Max Holloway has developed through his career. He'll keep his shape better when moving in, often by gluing his combinations together with a jab. A lot of these huge Max Holloway combinations that you see against like Calvin Kattar, they're not just left, right, left, right, left, right, or they're not just one big long combination. They're kind of like mini combinations glued together with slap hooks and jabs. That's something he's got better at. And as well, it's just keeping his shape as he moves forward instead of letting his head fall forward like it does there. Boom, left body kick. Really nice step up into left body kick. And trying the John Jones, probably a move he saw on UFC Undisputed, I can't remember which one. Jab to the body, a 1-2 to the body. That's such a rare combination. It takes a bit of confidence in your chin because you're going to drop both hands and you're naturally going to lean in a little bit. A lot of straight punches to the body. Straight punches to the body, criminally underused in MMA. You know, I always like digging a massive hook to the body, but it's the straight punches are often harder to defend. Boom, a little feint low and then an overhand. Little feint low and then an overhand. Let's look at this again. Touching across to the lead hand. There's actually a little backhand touch. Let's see if I can freeze the right moment here. Let's see if I can freeze this right moment. I can't find the speed option. Boom, he's reaching to the front hand, but then when he decides to throw his combination, he reaches here, boom, to the backhand, which kind of allows him to step in with, not impunity, but a little bit more insurance to cover that backhand, stop his opponent throwing his backhand as Holloway loads up his own right straight, which he's going to arc over as an overhand, takes his foot slightly forward to widen his base. Again, he's got quite a wide base here, which is probably going to make him fall forward. You know, he keeps his base a little bit surer these days. When you watch his training with Samart Payakarun, the GOAT of striking, it's all about stance. It's all just really basic stance drills. I love that video, and I bring that up every single time. But he covers that backhand to throw his own. Boom. Comes with a left hook, but falls into the clinch, almost gets snagged up. But really advanced stuff there. He's using his elbows tight, elbows low, fingers up in that tie clinch to defend the takedown, and then onto a single leg sprawl. He's got a deep left whizzer. Here he's reaching that right underhook under the armpit. It's not very powerful, so he releases it to punch, but he reaches back in with that underhook. Let's see if I can freeze a second here, which, as it changes camera angles, look how he's reached his right arm into the armpit there, and it's just kind of got his arm trapped. This guy looks like a bit of a Magoo, bit of a powerhouse, but as he's reached his right arm deep into the armpit, it's very hard to get the leverage, and you can often get that arm trapped, and it doesn't separate the grip as easy as if you reached a bit further down, got more leverage on the elbow. But this guy lifts him up with the high crunch. It's a high crunch now. I declare it. And onto his back. The guy releases to throw some big punches and then just accepts falling into the close guard of Holloway. You know, famously, Holloway took a while to develop his grappling. A lot of his early losses were due to holes in the grappling against Poirier, against Conor McGregor. But the guy just goes for a big slam and Holloway just stands up with it. A waste of energy by his opponent, and Holloway just capitalized it. Boom. The guy throwing a 1-2. Lots of straight shots to the body. There was like 2 or 3 shots to the body before going back up to the head. Holloway falls into this square stance. This is something we can see when Holloway is really aggressive. He'll go into this square stance as he steps in. 2 shots to the body, overhand, knee. After the scissor knee, he's in a completely square stance, which allows him to load up big hooks off of each side. Obviously, Baz Rutten was quite famously an advocate for the square stance to throw big kicks and big hooks off of each side. And the guy's out at this point. This is some just bleed refereeing. This is not conducive to good brain health for whoever this fella is. Went on a little bit too long. Let's go back, watch the finish again. Take this nonsense off screen. Boom. Scissor knee. That was after this exchange. So just because he's keeping the guard locked and the guy looks for a Magoo slam, Holloway just stands up. One of those occasions where you just stand up. I think there's like 3 or 4 shots to the body. So straight hook, cross to the straight hook to the body, and then a cross upstairs. Gets it, both hands of the guy a bit low, and then he digs that right straight over. It's a very unorthodox combination. It's unorthodox in boxing, where it's just punches and we see the purest, most diverse expression of just punching, probably. But it's even more rare in MMA where people don't throw those body shots that much. Squares up, the guy's sprawled. I like that little push there. That little push just to push him back over his knees. You see Demetrius give all these little pushes. A lot of time, elbow tight, little push. Just off balances the guy before his work. Push, one hand on the top of the head. And then this is the part of the sport. There's a little deep whizzer there. A little lovely deep whizzer into the hip. But this is part of the sport I don't really like. Late stoppages. So let's stop it there. No need to see any more. You know, bit of compassion for the guy. But that's Max Holloway's second pro MMA fight. If you want to watch the original video, it's uploaded by a channel, I think it's called Mitch MMA. Really worth watching it without my rambling. Let's get some breakdowns of Ilia Topuria through the week. I'm going to do some sparring breakdowns or maybe some pre-UFC breakdowns, see what happens. If you like technical content, subscribe to the channel, give it a like. Tell all your friends if you have any. If you're on this part of YouTube, you probably don't. Ciao.